Welcome to the Doo-Doo Divas Smells Like Money podcast. I'm your host, Suzan Chin-Taylor, CEO and founder of Creative Raven, the firm that helps wastewater industry contractors and manufacturers unlock the power of digital marketing, AI, and PR to boost sales and opportunities. Whether it's through our online marketing and lead generation programs or providing a fully outsourced marketing department, we are passionate about helping businesses in the wastewater and civil infrastructure sectors not just survive, but thrive in today's digital world. Each episode, I'll be bringing you expert tips and strategies to help you grow and succeed. Let's dive in. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Doo-Doo Divas Smells Like Money podcast. Today, we are broadcasting live from the WWETT Show 2026 in Indianapolis, and I am joined on the stage by my colleague, and I am pleased to say my good friend, Drew Lewis of Reline America. And so, welcome, and thank you for sharing this spotlight with me today, Drew.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right. So today's discussion is going to be about UV-GRP. And I've been walking the show today and just noticing that there is a tremendous amount of uptick in UV equipment being showcased on the floor, more than I've ever seen. It seems like there's a lot of the traditional, felt and resin manufacturers that are now jumping on board, and they're getting into the UV game. I'm also seeing this becoming more popular for the smaller diameter. So I think there's a trend here. But one of the things that you mentioned to me offline was that often, you go into a city or you go into a place to talk about UVGRP, and there's that misconception that this technology is new, and nothing could be further from the truth. So I'd like you to share with our audience a little bit of the history of UVGRP, that it really is not new. It's been around for quite a long time.
It really has, and that's a great point. So the misconception is, hey, this is a really new product. We've never heard of it. Well, just because you haven't heard of it doesn't mean it hasn't been in the ground for years and years and years, hasn't been tried by multiple different countries, contractors, manufacturers. I want to say the very first UVGRP install was mid-1980s, maybe 1985-ish, and if I'm not mistaken, over in Sweden. So this technology has been around for a very long time, and it's just, depending on where you're at on the earth, is just taking off a little bit slower in certain places. So what we have the luxury of doing now is learning from all the mistakes in the past, fine-tuning our processes now. And this isn't just a Reline America thing. This is other manufacturers in the industry, right? We've had all this time to fine-tune and really hone in on how this liner needs to be manufactured to be a successful install and rehabilitate pipes across the globe.
And I think the other thing that, you were probably the first or one of the first
Yes.
that came from Europe, because a lot of the development, the engineering was taking place in Europe,
Yes.
Germany,
Yep.
Germany especially, that you were one of the first to bring it to the United States.
Yes.
Not rely on foreign manufacturing and importing, but actually setting up your own manufacturing facility in
Right.
the United States.
Yeah, and doing so definitely presented itself with its own set of hurdles, right?
Of course.
You have set rehabilitation methods that were in the United States back then, and they were strong. I mean,
Sure they were.
that's what we were doing here. So we've learned, even on our side, number one, how do we properly compete? How do we properly manufacture? How do we properly educate and find our place within the industry in this market, right? Because there's a place for everything in this market. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here in Indianapolis right now.
Right.
So we have all had to find a way to fine-tune our own products to work cooperatively within this industry.
Well, one of the things that I thought was so interesting about Reline and the way that they decided to come to this country was you wanted to be a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of equipment on the floor, and then we see liners on the floor, and then we see trucks on the floor. And, sometimes with those disconnects come more risks.
Yeah.
Because you can't get that support. We've all been down that road where you buy a laptop, and then you get the software and something goes wrong and you call them at laptop manufacturers like, oh no, that's Microsoft. And then you call Microsoft and Microsoft says, oh no, that's the laptop. And you go round and round and round. And so you decided we're going to stop that so that anybody that's installing this, you have one phone call to make.
Sure, and I think our thought process on this was let's make this as easy as can be for our installers across the country.
Remove the friction.
Absolutely. And it's another way to really, I hate using the word control, but that's really what it is. Try to control or mitigate some risks and control the quality control of everything. Because really quality control isn't just on the factory side, it also transitions into the contractor side too. So if we're able to provide the services that our installers need from top to bottom under one roof, why wouldn't we?
Exactly. And I remember you saying when I said, why do people select you?
Yeah.
Because you're one of the most expensive, but you're not the cheapest, you're not the most expensive, but why do people choose you? And you said, hands down, it was the support.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really unique answer because I would think, oh, it's the rig, it's the light train, it's the line. But it's an intangible thing that moves the needle to people selecting you.
It is, because no job site is the same.
Right.
No piece of equipment is identical, right? Anything and everything can happen on a job site, and we want to make sure that if they need the support, it's there. It's not just, hey, when is your next order? It's, hey, how can I help you with this next project you're doing? Do you need anything from us? It's not just did you see that 11,000 foot project out there? Can we bid it? Are you going to give us the order? Of course, everyone wants the order, but we want the longevity. Mm-hmm. I don't want just one order and they're gone. I mean, we try our best to make sure that we're setting up all of our installers for success. And I think when you do that, it goes a lot further than just a one and done kind of order, right? These guys across the country, they need more than just liner. They need occasional technicians on site. Mm-hmm. They could be getting into a pipe they've never seen or worked in before. They can pick up the phone and call us and we'll send a technician.
And I think that's fantastic. And I think one of the most exciting things that you were, really stoked about this year at the show is you introduced your new compact unit.
Yeah.
And so that is really opening up a market for the smaller contractors that are thinking about getting into UV.
Sure.
But, you kind of perfected that business model on, the main line, the big, the storm all the way, sanitary sewer. But there is a market in the smaller commercial work or people that are just thinking about, I want to dip my toe into the pond here, but I'm not ready to buy that big, expensive rig. And so this little piece of equipment, I think it's amazing.
It is.
And so tell us a little bit about that and the market that's going to serve.
So the beauty of this product is we, as a whole, looked at it as how else can we serve our customers? And I think you nailed it on the head when you said, we want to get into this, but I can't drop $900,000 on a cure truck right now. Well, how do we reach that market and give them the opportunity to be successful and get into this side of our world too? There's always a way. Mm-hmm. Then we looked at what hurdles are these guys facing in the field? Are they having issues with being able to get their trucks in certain spots, getting a trailer somewhere, however their configuration is, what hurdles are they having with it? So with this unit, I wish I had it sitting right here, but this unit gives a small contractor, large contractor, lots of opportunity. For the small contractor looking to get into UV lining, the price point is absolutely amazing. So you're not looking at a $900,000 investment up front. You're looking at more of under $300,000 investment. This unit is fully portable. You can push it. It has 500 feet of cable on it. It will cure 6-inch to 24-inch. What's nice about it, there's other configurations we can do with it that we're not going to quite go into quite yet on this
Right. Not
episode.
ready for prime time.
No, but there's options for these guys. So if you look at a car, there's different models, a base model.
Right.
You have your XLT or whatever, Lariat as you go up. So there's different options we want to give to different size contractors out there. And I think this is a great way for someone to get into an entry level that's still going to get the job done every dang time. It's going to be reliable. It's going to last. It's not like it's something that was cheaply made. It's still a solid piece of curing equipment. So we're not cutting corners on it. We've just changed the configuration on it.
Right. So the beauty of your light trains that they're top of the line, and they're an impressive piece of equipment to look at. So, the light trains that you developed for your larger rigs, do they work with this compact unit, or does it have a different slightly configuration?
Unfortunately, on this one, we had to do a different configuration. Power consumption's a little bit different than what we use on our big trucks. The wattages we're putting out from one of our big cure units to this smaller unit, they're just not the same. So we did have to change the light trains, unfortunately. But with that being said, you can still use the same packer sets that we manufacture in-house. You can still use the same third man winch setup. All of these things come as the package. So when you purchase something like this compact unit, you're getting all the packers you need. You're getting your third man winch, top and bottom rollers. You're almost ready to rock and roll. We don't make the big constant tension winches, but we can send you to somebody who does. Right down the aisle here.
Right.
So I would say we provide you with about 90% of what you need
to get started. So it's pretty close to what you'd call a turnkey.
Yes, ma'am.
But again, it's the support.
It is.
Because if you are new to this, especially you've been a plumber and now trying to get into this, a project can go wrong 1,000 different ways and fast.
Yeah.
And that's where you can lose your money. So
yeah. And again, we're not perfect. Nobody is, but we sure do try to work with our contractors when they need us, especially when you're first getting into this. I hate to say it this way, we'll hold your hand. We will until you say we're good, or until we feel we're confident that you've got this. And this isn't us dictating how you run your business or how you run your crew. This is us setting you up for success, because at the end of the day, when you succeed, we succeed, and vice versa.
And something that I think was neat that you offer is that if somebody's interested in, learning more about this, but seeing it firsthand, you actually offer factory visits. Like, don't take our word from it when you go to see something at a trade show. You can actually come and see. You've got an ISO, what is it, 9001? I always forget that funky number, but that it has that kind of quality control.
Yeah.
And having been there myself, it is a really, really impressive facility to see, the bones behind what you're deciding to invest in.
Yeah, and that, again, quality control, from start to finish. You don't really see it when you're coming from the outside, but the steps that our factory takes and our office personnel take just to make sure that the raw materials we are bringing in meets and exceeds what our expectations are, and that we're consistently meeting that ASTM specification. Right. We take it seriously. We will reject shipments if it's not what we need. And I think that's very important. You need to make sure that the product you're putting in truly is what you say it is.
Right.
So we do our best to make sure that everything that comes in and goes out of that factory is 100% what we say it is.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So where do you see the market going? Do you see this, if it's a contractor thinking, is there going to be a lot of, I don't think there's that much competition, but there is going to be that shift in the market.
Yeah.
Do you see more and more adoption where this is going to open up many, many more opportunities, that now is the time to get in on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been with Reline now coming up on 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And within those 4 years, it's night and day. The first year I was here, there's a good amount of projects out there, but I think what we've all done, and this isn't just a Reline America thing at this point, the other major manufacturers here domestically have done a great job, all of us have, of getting out there and educating on the benefits of UV. And I can't speak for anyone else, but I know for us, we'll tell a contractor, we're the first to tell them, this is not a UV project. Don't do it. There's a place in the market for both technologies, your felt and your UV. So that's another thing that kind of goes back to our support to I don't mean to backtrack on you, but the support for the contractors is, hey guys, I know you're new to this. this is not a UV project.
Well, that's good because, it's not one size fits all.
You
You don't want to get yourself into trouble, speccing something or saying, yeah, that can do it. And then you get to the job site and no perfect project except the one that hasn't begun yet, right?
Absolutely. and just to get back to the growth, I'm sorry, I sidebar every now and then. You know me well enough, I sidebar. So
yeah, sidebar. Yeah. Go for it, Drew.
Getting back to the growth side, every single year, I have seen I think we did some numbers on it, and I want to say it's averaging about 10 to 15% growth every year, ballpark. More and more people are becoming educated on this product. It's becoming more and more acceptable, or I think some of the hurdles may be is getting out there and educating now the people who are writing the actual specifications and educating them on how to properly write that specification for these UV projects. And if you're doing one or the other, cool, let's help you write it for one or the other, because they are not apples to apples products. They're just not. Visually to the eye, it looks like they are. They're not. And again, I'm not saying one's not acceptable. It's just two different products. So our job isn't only just the contractor side now, it's the education side. Asset owners, engineers, any other utility out there, right? So you could have a DOT, you could have, Department of Defense, they do lining, the list goes on and on. So our job is really to get out there and continue to educate everyone from top to bottom.
And also what you were saying about that spec is that a UV liner is not a UV liner is not a UV liner. Yeah. That each manufacturer of these liners, they all have different criteria, and making sure that you are matching it to the job and what that job needs, especially if you're talking about a structural rehabilitation.
Absolutely. And I think, again, I'm not speaking for others, but my assumption is all of us in this industry on the UV side, as far as the manufacturers go, we all have our own protocols. Every one of us are ISO 9001. I think we have to be.
Right.
You have to be. So we all take pride in what we do. And to kind of circle back to the beginning of our conversation, this goes back to the hurdles that we've all had to jump over to develop these products that we're now putting into the ground. So this isn't just hey, we made this UV liner a year ago, let's throw it in the ground. No, these have been in the works forever. This has taken a very long time to really fine-tune each and every one of our products that are in the market. And it's really only improving. Every year you hear somebody's doing something a little bit different to improve their liner. We have. Everyone else has.
And this year you increased your size diameter capacity up to
78 inches.
78 inches. And that's no small feat.
No.
And I know no grass grows under your feet, so it's not ready for prime time, but there's some other things that are in the works that'll come out.
We've got some stuff cooking right now.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah. Keep me posted. Yes. We'll bring you back onto the show again to talk about that for sure. So, Drew, just for those who have been tuning in, this isn't a live. This will be, going out on maybe in a couple weeks from now. So if people want to learn more, if they're not here at the show and they've tuned in, how can they learn more about what your company has to offer?
Yeah, I think the best two places really to get the best information. We put a lot out on LinkedIn and our website. So Reline America on LinkedIn, we put quite a bit of our information on there, everything from technical stuff to just your general, hey, here's a new product we're bringing out. We are going to start putting some more information about the compact unit on there in the very, very near future. And our website, www.relineamerica.com.
All right. And if they want to connect with you, Drew, you are on LinkedIn.
I'm not hard to find.
You're not hard to find.
No.
Yeah, he's not hard to spot,
I
So
can't hide.
This is like the long and the short of it here.
Literally.
For those of you just listening, we got 4'10" and
6'7".
6'7". So
yeah.
Well, Drew,
a blessing and a curse.
Yes, in some ways, yes. Well, Drew, thank you so much
Thank you for having
sharing this time with me, and thank you, audience, for tuning in. And until next time, keep it flowing.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If you're ready to take your marketing to the next level and start increasing sales and opportunities for your business, reach out to us at Creative Raven. We're here to help you thrive in the digital landscape. Visit creativeraven.com or click the link in the show notes below to schedule a call and learn how we can support your growth. If you enjoyed the insights on today's episode, be sure to hit subscribe so you'll never miss an update. Until next time, keep growing and keep it flowing.